We are here with former Vice President and presumptive Democratic presidential nominee, Joe Biden. So lovely to hear you. I think hearing you talk before the break will have been a great comfort to many people. I certainly felt it for me. But let's talk about the election race for a minute. You've got the nomination, but you're not allowed to leave your home. Campaigning is all about really getting out there and get your message out there, shaking hands, kissing babies, all of those things. What's your plan to try and convince the American people that you should be the next president of the United States whilst you're in your basement?
Well, by trying to use and master the new technology out there. I can't get out there and shake hands and do the things. Look, I'm a tactful politician. I think it's important. I like to be out there because people, when you're looking them in the eye, they talk to you. They tell you what they're concerned about. They tell you their problems. They tell you what they're angry about. And it's to me, it's been the great learning experience of my career. But, I hope we're not mastering, but getting better at dealing with technology. We have, in the last several weeks, they tell me over, I think it's 50 million people have watched some portion of something we've done. And things keep moving along. I think it's important. What I hope to be able to do, at least, is to be able to, in future broadcasts and future direct appeals and or discussions with the public, be able to do it physically outside. I think it's better to do it outside and where the sun's shining or the wind's blowing, and just feel much more natural. And but in the meantime, I'm just going to use whatever means there is available on the internet as well as on the news media to be able to make my case.
Well, you're looking very well on it. I will say you look very good in the basement. You're looking very, very well under this
I work
lighting.
out every morning. I get a chance to actually, I'm probably in better shape now than I was when I was on the road.
Fantastic. Now, everybody is talking and wondering about who your running mate is going to be. I've heard, as an exclusive on this show, you're going to tell us who it is. Who's it going to be?
Well, I'm going to tell you if you keep it quiet.
Okay. Honestly, literally no one is watching this.
All right. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is going to be my person.
Well, that would be
I think
terrific.
she has all the experience in the world. I'm not sure she'll do it, but that's my choice. That's what I'm going to pick.
In all seriousness, answer me this. I know you can't tell me who it is, but have you had conversations?
I don't know who it is.
But have you had conversations with, do you have a list of 3? Is there a list of 5? How does it work?
Well, look, the way it works is, in past presidents from Democrat and Republican, or nominees, I should say, have gone out and they put together a committee. And then at the end of the day, most of the presidents in the past have had a group of 3 or 4 people who do the interviewing of these individuals when you narrow it down to, I'm guessing, I don't know, somewhere between 2 and 5 people. So we're going to probably be announcing the setting up of that committee, which we're doing now, picking the people who have agreed to serve on it. And we'll be announcing the formation of that probably by, I assume by May 1st, we'll have that done. And my guess is it's going to take until sometime in July, where we've narrowed it down after the background checks as to who the 1, 2, 3 people are that may be in the hunt at that point.
And what are the qualities you're looking for in this person?
The first and most important quality is someone who, if I were walked away immediately from the office for whatever reason, that they could be president. And the public look at that person and say, she is capable of being president of the United States tomorrow. That's number 1. Number 2, the only thing I know a little bit about is the vice presidency. And I know how it worked with Barack and me, the President Obama and me. And that is that, as his advice to me, and he told me at the time, was pick someone who has some background or some competence that may not be your strong point to make sure that you're able to make up for each other's weaknesses. Now, I made up for very few of his weaknesses. He made up for a lot of mine. But to make sure there's someone who has a competence in areas that you can delegate presidential authority to that person, like the president did with me in the Recovery Act, which was almost $850 billion, foreign policy issues, arms control, that kind of thing. And so when the president knows when they send the vice president, everyone knows when that vice president speaks, they speak for the president. And that third thing is required. You have to be intellectually simpatico. You have to be on the same wavelength. Now, Barack and I never disagreed on the strategy. We sometimes disagreed on tactic, and that's when the fourth requirement, someone you completely trust, because Barack and I, the president and I, would have lunch once a week. And before that, we were in a situation where he asked, did I have any requirements? Did he have any requirements? And he said to me that yes, he wanted to make sure. That I said, why me? He said, because I know you'll never walk in the Oval Office and be intimidated by the office. You'll always tell me exactly what you believe. And so it has to be someone you have confidence in, you know has strengths you don't have. And you should never be afraid. What I've noticed, the really good presidents I've worked with, they all have the confidence to pick people who are really bright, who are people who may have a competence they didn't possess going into the office, and not be afraid to pick people who you can look to and say, I didn't know that. And so that's what I'm looking for.
Does it play on your mind? Is it something you considered, should you become the president of the United States? Have you given any thought to how long you would want to be the president of the United States? And does the choosing of your running mate enter your head if you were thinking, well, I might only do one term? Because that's something that lots of people, I'm sure you're aware, are talking about on the internet and things.
Well, I promise I won't serve more than 3 terms. Oh, look, two things. Now, number one, I don't know what things are going to be like in 3 years, and in terms of what the state of the nation will be. And I also know if one were to say that I'm only going to serve 4 years, you're immediately a lame duck president.
Yeah.
Everything changes. So I have confidence that the American public should have confidence. I'll be completely, thoroughly candid with them about the state of my health. They'll be able to judge my energy level. They'll be able to make that judgment, and we'll make the decision 3 years out, assuming, presumptuous of me, assuming I'm the next president.
We'll be right back with more of the Late Late Show, everybody.